Hello, everybody. This is Doug Ramos from Century 21 Alliance Realty. Once again, for everyone out there watching, thank you for joining us in another one of these great interviews. Today, I have the pleasure to have with me Mr. Walter Santiago from GenNEXT Mortgage. Mr. Walter Santiago is the Chief Sales Officer of GenNEXT, and today we have invited Walter to talk about, a phenomenal training that he was, he basically introduced me to, which I thought was going to be a, great training for our associates in the office. So the training that I'm talking about is called ICS. So Walter, good morning. How are you today?
Doug, I'm doing terrific. Thank you very much. And also thank you for the opportunity of working with you and your team.
You're welcome. I'm everybody in the office, all the agents are so excited and they're really falling in love with this training. But Walter, tell me what ICS stands for. Why don't you elaborate on that?
Sure. That's a great question. ICS stands for Insightful Consultative Selling. And it's basically trying to, before we provide any product or obviously provide any solutions, making sure we first truly understand our buyer and really understand what they're looking for, and then for us to provide them insight in how we can help them.
Fantastic. I mean, you know me, that, one of the things that I'm passionate about, I'm passionate about my family, but I'm passionate about this business, and I'm very pro training, pro education. And I always been a critic of the fact that in this business, there's not enough education in sales, because most people that get into this industry, they get into the industry, with very little or no experience on sales at all. And I believe that, if you want to be successful, which is what we want our associates to be phenomenally successful in this business. And not only for the agents to be successful, but we want to be able to bring the level of expectations from our customers and clients to a much higher level. We want to be able to deliver to both buyers and sellers a much higher quality of service. And for that, the agent needs to constantly, all the time, they have to be sharpen the skills. They have to be looking at new products. They need to be looking at how they sell. So I know that my agents in the office have been, are falling in love with this training. So I want to talk a little bit about the training right now. So far, we have gone through some of the modules in here, and if I could get my computer to respond right now and open the there you go. So so far what we have done in the training is we visit 4 different modules, one of them being persona. So why don't you tell the audience, why don't you tell the agents and the public that is looking at this video, what does that entail? What is persona in the selling
process? Sure. So let me just start by telling you that it's really unfortunate, because I think that we all have certain expectations for our agents. And unfortunately, we tend to do a lot of teaching based around what are the operations. And the selling part always tends to fall in the background. So what we've done is actually created a sales process that truly allows an agent to see how to start a sales cycle and then also how to end it. And in order to do that, there are certain skills that these agents need. And just to sort of step back a second, what I've done is actually GenNEXT Funding really understands that besides doing mortgages, that there's value we need to provide. And in providing that value, what we've done is taken the sales cycle and broken it up into 4 different elements. Those 4 different elements consist of target, suspect, prospect, and customer. What that does for us is that it gives us the opportunity to assess what skill does the agent need in every one of those elements. So as I start to look at target focuses on everything we need to know before we start our sales motion. The first thing we need to know is personas. Personas focuses on how well do we understand our buyer. When you look at our buyer today, there are actually 4 different generations of buyers that we're trying to go after. We're trying to go after millennials. We're trying to go after Generation Zs, Generation X, and there's also traditionals and baby boomers. There are folks that are in different phases of their buying lives. What personas allows us to do is look at the criteria of every one of those personas, or better yet, every one of those generations, and then figure out what's the best way of working with them. What are the needs of the baby boomers? What are the needs of the millennials? And then how do we sell to them differently? And it's basically creating a plan to ensure that what we provide them and the message we give is based on the generation we're working with.
That is phenomenal. I know that, like I was pretty impressed when we started looking at the, of these, but there are more modules to this than just a persona.
There is.
Excuse me. And there was also a session about business planning. There was also a session about features and benefits that, why don't you give me, in a few words, what the agents can expect to learn from those, modules.
Sure. So let's just look at business planning first. It's interesting. I mean, all of us in sales need to have a guide. And what the business plan really allows us to do, it really allows us to create that guide. So if you know, as an example, that you want to generate, let's say $150,000 for the year, the first question you should be asking, how many transactions, how many sales do I need to do in order to generate 150,000? Then you have to go back and say, okay, well, if I want it, so if it's going to take, let's say 25 transactions, what exactly do I need to execute in order to accomplish that? What are some of the networking events I need to attend, et cetera? And then it's just a matter of basically measuring, managing, and then figuring out who are the right mentors in order to achieve those numbers. And then as I start to look at features and benefits now begin to allow me to break it down. Every buyer has an absolute business need in why they want to buy or actually want to go and pursue a home. So the question for us is, what are the benefits they're looking for, and then ensuring that we only provide them the features they want. That is truly the intent.
Wow. So, it's so true. I mean, I tell the agents every time that I meet with a brand new agent or agents that just, that just got their licenses, like the first thing that you need to, come up with is, what is your big why? And do you have a business plan? And if you don't, let's sit down and let's put that business plan together so that you understand, if you have an expectation of making X amount of money in real estate, what do you need to do? How many transactions does it take? Absolutely. What do you need to do to execute to get to that? So, I mean, the training is phenomenal. So we also, no, thank you very much. Because, wait until you, and for our viewers and everybody following this video is wait until you hear the cost. That's, you're going to love that more than anything else. Then you have the features and benefits that are part of the target section of these, consultative sales, the CIS, ICS training. But why don't you tell us about, because we just finished the target part. We ended up with messaging, which is basically about creating that message. And just tell us what you told the agents that they need to do in order for them to create that message. So of course, I am sure that everybody watching, especially many of the agents, there are thousands and thousands of agents out there. So the question we need to all be asking ourselves is, how do we differentiate? 55,000 agents in the state of New Jersey. 55,000
agents, quite a bit. Yep. So the question that the 55,000 agents should be asking themselves is, how do I differentiate myself from every other agent out there? And when you're looking to differentiate yourself, you need to create your messaging. So that messaging really becomes our beginnings of our sales cycle. When someone asks, who are you? Why are you different? Why should I work with you? Why should I stop working with another agent and start working with you? What is it that you tell them? What exactly, how do you identify yourself to the buyer? How do you identify yourself to someone who is not yet sure if they truly want to buy? And then as you look at the different personalities of buyers, how do you modify your message to ensure that your message resonates with the individual that you're talking to? And that truly is the goal of the session we just provided.
So it's understanding, and everything basically, like just connects to each other. So if you understand the persona, and the target audience that you have, then you can customize what we know in the industry from, as a unique selling proposition, or your years ago, and I'm from the Generation X, but I hear, I'm from the younger generation, right? But I hear that it was used to, the elevator speech. What's your elevator? You understand the persona, then you can customize that message that you have so that it can resonate with your clients. It's extremely important. So, so far that's what the agents here in the office have experienced. I know that the agents, and I surveyed the agents to find out, and some of the guests, they have come to our training as well. We surveyed them to see how do they like it, and they're fascinated. They really like the way in which you present these, this information to them. But tell me now, what can they expect? Because, we know we ended up with messaging, and for the next couple of weeks, for the whole month of July, we're going to be taking a small break because of the summer. People are going on vacation. They're doing, this and that. But what can they expect when they come back, which our next training will not be until, or the next time that we meet on these lunch and learns, it's not going to be until August 6th. But what can the agents expect? What's coming up on that series of trainings, Walter?
Sure. So that's a great question. So from an agent's perspective, they've literally spent the entire spring and now hopefully this summer taking advantage of this booming market. Once you start getting into the August timeframe, things start to slow down. As things start to slow down, that's when your sales activities need to step up. And the way you step it up is by doing demand generation. So the entire intent of our August 6th session will be to talk about how do you generate opportunity? How do you generate new opportunity? There are two ways of actually getting business. You could actually get deep and wider, meaning you could go to your referrals and have them refer you to other people, or you could actually get brand new opportunity. So the question is, how do you do that? So what we're going to talk about, we're going to focus on networking. We are going to talk about how do you use networking to get more opportunity.
I'm sorry to cut you off there, but I hear you talk about the networking and all the other sessions that we have done, and the advice that you're giving the agents on what do they need to do when they're at a network event.
Yes.
Take a full advantage of that. So you're going to be talking deeper into how to,
absolutely,
how to develop and how to create relationships that are going to generate business from you when you're at a network event. It's not just about going there and meeting people and having a drink. It's about how do you work it correctly.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's really trying to optimize, right? So you want to optimize every event you basically go to. The other thing we're going to be focusing on is also social marketing. Social marketing is huge. So the question is, how are you utilizing social media as you and I are now utilizing it? How are you taking advantage to actually get to people you yet have not sold to those that you are selling to, and to those you want to sell to? So social marketing is going to be really, really key. The other piece is, everybody loves to use emails. Well, do you know that there's actually a correct way of utilizing emails to try to get more contacts? So we're going to talk about emails. We're going to talk about warm calls and cold calls. And I'm also going to provide you with the script. We're going to go talk about direct mail campaign. We're going to talk about SEO. We're going to talk about landing pages, pay per click, which everybody hears, but no one really knows what it means. And then we're also going to talk about advertising. Exactly how do we or can we utilize advertising to bring on more business? At the end of the day, Doug, everything we're going to be talking about on the 6th is focusing on how to bring more greens to your jeans. And that's going to be really, really important as we get into the next, as we get into the fall, which obviously business starts to drop.
Correct. And I like that. I like that. How do you get more greens into your jeans? I like that phrase. I'm gonna steal it from you. Yeah, no, but it's good that
As
you're
long as you
going
let
to.
them know that I gave it to you.
I sure will. But one thing I like is that you're going to be talking about a whole gamma. It's a lot of different tools. Because a lot of times I hear the agents, well, I don't like to cold call because that's not my style. Well, there's not only one way for you to prospect. There's many different ways for you to prospect. But as long as you are prospecting, which is a sales job, your number one job as a salesperson is to be generating new business. That is the number one. The first job that you have is to generate, and you're gonna teach them on all the different aspects. That if you're the type of person who wants to do it via is using emails, if you want to use social media, if you want to use all these different pillars that you can put in, or if you want to use them all, that's great. That is fantastic. So due to the amount of time that we have, why don't you tell us a little bit more about we're going to be meeting our restart the trainings on August 6th here at the Linden office, Century 21 Alliance. Everyone is invited that is watching this video or is interested in learning a little bit more. But Walter, why don't you tell us a little bit of if they want to get in contact with GenNEXT, if they want to, and tell us, why don't you tell us what the cost of the training is? Because this is a very intense training. What does it cost to get this training, Walter?
So let me just start by just saying as to who GenNEXT Funding is. So we are a mortgage lender. We actually specialize in working with every generation to truly help them get to the next phase of their lives through home ownership. So before I give you costs, let me just share with you what I've done, because I think it puts it in perspective.
Yeah.
So for the last 33 years, I've actually have been in sales. For the last 20 years, I've owned my own consultative company, helping organizations create sales infrastructure and process, which consists of creating many of these sales trainings. Within the last 2 years, I've actually been fortunate to meet a gentleman that is my business partner at GenNEXT Funding, and a gentleman by the name of George Para, who's been in the industry for the last 20 years. And what we're basically doing is disrupting what I think is the mortgage business. And the way we're doing it is by providing these types of programs. So the cost, it's actually a value add that we provide to work with our brokers. So I hate to say that the cost is zero. What the cost is really a quid pro quo. It's we provide you with the programs, and all we hope is that when you work with a buyer, that you give us an opportunity to not only quote you a rate, but give us the opportunity to work with your buyers so we can help them take them through the sales journey. So the cost is zero, right? Zero. I like to say less than a penny, but that's
yeah, but for the audience, for the people out there watching us, when you have coaching companies out there that are charging hundreds of dollars a month for you to learn how to do
right.
Now you have the opportunity to have GenNEXT that says, well, you know what, Walter, who has been in the industry of sales and not necessarily real estate, but sales in general, which is what I try to, make the agents understand, which is like, yes, I'm a realtor because I sell houses, but it's still a sales job.
Absolutely.
And I need to learn how to sell, because if I don't know how to sell, hey, then I shouldn't be in sales. I should go into a different industry. So you've been in that industry for many years. You're bringing all your knowledge, all the stuff that you've put together for great organizations out there that just selling outside of real estate and giving it in a package, in a well put together package to the real estate agents and saying, look, we'll help you build your business if you help us build ours.
Yeah, and that's excellent, Doug. And I think that my challenge to the audience that's watching is what I encourage you to do is attend one session. Attend that session on August 6th. Let us take you through what that methodology is. Let us take you through what the skills are that you need in order to put more greens in your jeans. Test us. Ask us all the questions. Ask us how do we do it. Ask us how you can benefit. And if you attend that session, I will guarantee you that you will be back.
Fantastic. Well, that's all the time that we have today. So I do want to thank you, Walter. I know you're a very busy person, so I want to thank you for the time that you gave us today for this interview. And I look forward to seeing you once again in August 6th at the next training at Century 21 Alliance Realty, where we are passionate, committed to your success.
And what's the address, Doug, just for those folks that are listening that don't know where Century 21 Alliance is?
Thank you. The address is 867 North Style Street, Linden, New Jersey. So, and if you want to know how to get in contact with Walter, just send me an email. My email address is douglasr@c21ar.net, and I'll make sure that I get you Walter's contact so you can contact him directly. But you're all welcome to come to our next training at Century 21 Alliance in Linden in August 6th. Thank you, Walter.
Doug, thank you very much. Greatly appreciate it.
Pleasure. Enjoy the 4th of July for everybody out there watching. Enjoy the festivities.
Thank you.
Have fun. Take care.
Thank you.